if you're a criminal, don't come in Houston County. Do not come in Warner Robins, because I'm telling you right now, you will get caught quick. You will get caught quick.
I did have a lot of people send in questions, and for those that are about to watch this with the questions, I reworded these just a little bit because some of the questions that people asked were a little bit too narrow. They asked like as if they already wanted a specific answer, if that makes sense. And I kind of formulated it around some of the juice that's going on in the Warner Robins area, stuff that's going to be popping up in council meetings, stuff that you see on 13 WMAZ, like things that are going on. Where I could get your personal opinion on, but more so for like the education piece for citizens, if that makes sense. Now on for your question. So question number 1, Warner Robins just passed nearly $180 million budget. That's so much money. It's like $179 million and some change, which is a big responsibility for a city of our size. When you think about that budget, what part of it makes you feel the most proud?
Well, I'm proud. Well, the most proud will be public safety.
Absolutely.
Public safety is important. We back the blue. We're huge supporters of public safety, police, fire, essential workers, military members, Robins Air Force Base, all of that. So people look at how much funding does public safety get.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to worry about that in Warner Robins, because we're always going to take care of safety, because that's important for quality of life.
Absolutely. And I love what you're talking about, like with your son growing up in a city that's safe. That's something important. I remember I grew up in the inner city of Akron for a little while, and I could ride my bike anywhere that I wanted at any time, and there was never any issues. But like today, God, no, I would never, ever, ever let my kid ride around a bike by himself in Akron. And it's nothing except for, it's just the safety thing from when we grew up compared to today is just so different. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that we get into, which is the next question. More than half of the general fund is going toward public safety. So when you hear residents talk about public safety, what do you think that they're really asking? So like in a better way, people can go ahead and say, well, crime is here. Well, have you ever looked at any of the other big cities throughout the United States? It's riddled with crime because the more population that you have, the more crimes per populace you have. But you've allocated 53% of a budget to be able to go towards public safety. So when people ask those types of questions about public safety, about police officers, am I safe? What do you think like that root question that they're trying to get at is?
I think when people ask questions like that, or they make those kind of comments because they saw something happen on the news, they're generalizing it to overshadow the great things that we're doing. They're in fear, and they have a right to have fear. And we talk about this often. When we look at the data, look at the calls, look at the arrests, look at the types of crimes being committed in our city, especially compared to others, even similarly situated, we are in a really good place.
Absolutely.
Of course, we'd love to have a city that has zero crime, but then we would all be perfect, just like Jesus Christ, and we're just not. That's just not going to happen. But we put the money in the right places. We're being innovative, utilizing technology, making sure our officers have the proper training. We put a lot into deterring crime, but also preventing it. So not just making sure our police have their equipment, have their vehicles, receive their wages, but there's more that comes into building a safe city. So you got to look at being proactive about prevention, education, connecting to even the children inside of our school system, but also looking to see with what we are doing, it is actively deterring crime. Until domestic violence popped up in every community in our country, that one has thrown a little monkey wrench in our plan. But instead of crying about it and complaining about it, we are doing something with all law enforcement together in our area to try to help educate, advocate, so that domestic violence numbers can eventually go down.
Exactly.
So we put the money in the right place, areas we know we can improve on, but if you look at the numbers, look at the data, you will see the great progress we're making when it comes to crime. To have approximately 14 homicides in last year in 2025, only 2 of them were not connected to domestic violence. 14 for our whole county, not just Warner Robins. Our whole county, Centerville, Warner Robins, Perry, and an unincorporated county. About 14 homicides. 2 of them were not domestic violence. That tells you a lot right there.
It really does.
For a county, a whole county, not just a city, to have 2 regular murders in a whole year,
That's wild.
That tells you a lot right
We live
there.
in a pretty darn good place. So that's why I hate when people post stupid stuff on the internet
Yeah.
and say, oh, we're all dying. No, look at the data.
Yeah,
look at the
just
data.
look at it.
And something that really stood out to me with what you were saying was proactive versus reactive. Not to get too deep in the weeds, but I used to be a police officer in Perry, and then I spent 18 months in the pipeline to be a deputy U.S. Marshal, my dream job. So I got out of the military. Snapped my ankle, couldn't walk for 9 months. Really sad, still salty. But the thing is I was doing a little bit of research, and there's gonna be like 250 plate scanners, and there's cameras that are gonna be on light. That is going to prevent so much crime, and not only prevent crime, but somebody that has an active warrant out for their arrest that's a danger to society, if somebody dares to drive their car through Warner Robins, they're gonna get caught.
Yeah.
You are not safe if you're a criminal. At least in Warner Robins. So that speaks to me to show that, like, not only are people going to be scared to be here if they're a criminal, but they're not going to even attempt to come here because they know they're going to get caught. So with that budget, is there any like other like really, I don't know, lack of a better term, like juicy things that are going into like the public safety sector that like are important for people to know about?
Well, we part of our budget is a real-time crime center.
Yeah,
we also have
RTCC.
a training center.
Yeah.
So those are two capital improvements that we're doing to go towards public safety. And the real-time crime center connects to the example you just gave.
Yep.
If you're a criminal, don't come in Houston County. Do not come in Warner Robins, because I'm telling you right now, we have all the data to support. You will get caught quick.
Mm-hmm.
You will get caught quick. Even if you're not in a vehicle, you can get caught quick, because we received an international Smart City Award for our public safety system.
There we go.
When it comes to detecting crime, resolving it, and deterring it. And our numbers support that our investment is working. So think about all the cities in Georgia. We have over 530 in our one state.
Yep.
Now think about our whole nation, how many cities? Now think about all of the countries in the world, how many cities? Of all of the great technology that was submitted for this particular project, which is the best of its kind, they picked 21 cities in the whole world that had a great technology system for innovation that was a smart technology. Warner Robins was on the list of the top 21 in the world twice.
There we go.
Because of what we're doing here. So even if people don't know what it is, just know and listen, we have something special, and it's doing great things, and we're getting noticed on an international market.
Yep. And you're not smart enough to outsmart it. Okay.
That's right.
For Scythe, you better watch out. GPSIG, Georgia Public Safety Training Center, it might become Warner Robins. Would there be space? I'm just kidding. But hey, you already answered the next question. It was the Real-Time Crime Center is a big step into modern policing. What was the moment where you knew this was something Warner Robins needed? But I think you covered it. You know, at the end of the day, like, I could not imagine the weight that would be on your shoulders any single time there's something that comes up in the news when it comes down to public safety. Because these are your people. You care about them. And when there is a victim to a crime, especially domestic violence, I bet you put yourself in those people's shoes.
I do.
You know what I mean? And that's a heavy weight to be able to carry. And that's a huge responsibility to be able to say, hey guys, you know, I'm gonna lead from the front, we're gonna fix this. And obviously you are. So I just wanna say thank you.
And one of the most proudest moments, as we're talking about our smart technology for public safety, was when there was an infant that was kidnapped. Here in Warner Robins, near one of our shopping districts. The baby was kidnapped, and we found the baby within an hour because of our system.
That doesn't happen. When somebody's kidnapped, the likelihood of them being found at all is so low.
And this is an infant who cannot walk, and they can change their clothes or a blanket at any moment. But that baby was located because of our system. So some people complain about it, but if it were their baby.
If you weren't a criminal, you wouldn't be complaining.
Yep.
You know?
But if it was their baby, or their loved one who comes up missing, or someone that hurts your family member, or someone does a hit and run on your vehicle and hurts someone that you love, you would want to know who did it and make sure they come to justice.
You're exactly
and that's
right.
what we make sure we can do here in Warner Robins.
And the coolest thing is, if you don't break the law, you cannot get pulled over.
Right.
You know, like the day and age in which we live in 2026, law enforcement officers will not go out of their way to hurt the public, because not only will they lose their job, which means they lose their income, they can't support their family anymore. They're going to be sued, so they're going to have negative money, and they're never going to be able to get a job again in a field that they spent their entire life training for, and they literally start from zero. You know what I mean? So I promise you, not every case, you know, there's good people, there's bad people out there.
Always.
But the majority of the time, if you don't commit any crimes, you have nothing to worry about. So I just think it's such a cool technology. And I feel like I just want to nerd out and ask so many questions. But deep down, I don't really want anybody knowing this technology. I just want them to know that they're not going to get away with things.
Yeah, they know it exists. That's what we want.
Oh, yeah. Now, the next juicy topic that everybody and their mom's asking about. Downtown has gone through a lot of demolition recently. Some people see rubble. Other people, like you and me, we see some opportunity going on. And when you picture downtown 5 years from now, what do you hope people feel when they're walking around?
Oh, 5 years from now? Oh, it's going to be awesome. I want them to feel joy. I want them to feel like this is my downtown. This is my city. This is a place where my babies are safe. And this is where I can connect to neighbors I didn't even know existed.
Absolutely.
I want it to feel like you're in a modern day downtown. Where there's so much life and energy.
Absolutely. I think that's going to be so cool. So I think downtowns are important, you know what I mean? A lot of people like to go downtown, and I know like the downtown right now is Perry, and everybody always talks about it. I'm kind of excited to just drive down the road, because I literally live off of Watson. So you just go right across the interstate and live right over there. So it'd just be nice to be able to come over here.
Absolutely.
Which is going to be really exciting. And now this question that I have for the next one, it's kind of going to the same thing. Commercial circle. Okay, I saw a clip from when you were debating, I don't remember the guy's name, for the last term, and they said something about these renderings. Those new commercial circle renderings really got people talking, like I was saying. Was there a point when that vision finally felt real to you, like it's going to happen? Because there's some people on the internet that are just keyboard warriors who are like, it's just a picture.
Yeah.
Everything starts as a picture before it gets built. So what do you see happening with that?
So when the renderings were presented, we'd already made a lot of progress in the goal of having a downtown finally. So when those renderings came and we put the pictures out at Commercial Circle so people can see it and they can scan the barcode, the QR code, and give us the feedback. That's when it felt real to me, because it's okay to have a dream and you keep it bundled up. But whenever you start to tell people, and not just tell them, but you let them see, okay, here's my plan.
This is what it's going to look like.
Right. It's more like, okay, guys, we've put ourselves out there. We have committed ourselves to this in a way that we are showing them the vision. We have to make this happen. So when that happened to me, it was a pivot, but it was a very positive one.
Absolutely.
It's showing people we are ready for the next steps. We have done the work. We have the mixed-use developers who are looking at our area for their investment. So so excited about what's going to happen with Operation Reawaken, building a downtown from the ground up right here in the historic Commercial Circle.
And for all the haters on the internet, lack of a better term, when they think that that's just a pipe dream, like what would you say to those individuals to show them that that's going to be a reality that's actually coming to Warner Robins?
You know, anything new starts off as a plan, a goal, a vision. It depends on what energy you put towards it if you'll ever make your dream. So there's a lot of dreamers out there. I am not exempt. I am a dreamer. But one thing that's important, you got to do your homework. So for those who think this will never happen, all I say is watch and see.
Absolutely.
You can watch and see, because we didn't go from owning less than 1 acre of a 17-acre tract when I started out in 2022 to now in 2026 owning over 70% of the 17-acre tract. That's called progress. We didn't go from just thinking of things and having an idea that nobody would buy into. That didn't happen. We have 4 unsolicited proposals by mixed-use developers across our nation who build the Atlantic stations, who build the Avalons, who build these areas that people flock to for a weekend. They're interested in doing it here. So we're checking all these things off the list in a very positive way. So watch and see that this is going to happen, because we've come too far to turn back now.
We're making the progress. I love that.
Yes.
Now, something that I know that you're super passionate about is Haven Hope House feels like one of the more personal projects that the city has obviously taken on. What have you learned about people through the process that surprised you the most?
Oh, Haven Hope House has been a dream. A dream not because we dreamed it and then it came to be, but the people. Oh my gosh, just hearing and seeing and feeling people's heart and passion towards helping individuals who took a turn in their journey in life that led them to homelessness, and to watch people love on them and help transform their lives, and their success stories, and hearing the people who were homeless for years and they come back and say, oh my gosh, you guys helped me. I now have ABCD and I'm reunited with my family and I have a job and I have legs now, as a person who didn't have legs for years, a veteran who should have had legs. They have their identity restored. So many great stories, and it makes me feel so good on the inside. You know, God really is showing his face when you look at Haven Hope House.
I love that, because there's, and for those that don't know, you have room for up to 70 people, and it's like a 90-day program. It's not just like, hey, get a meal. It's helping people get up off their feet. So my family lives up in Ohio, and I didn't know this for the longest time. My grandma and my grandpa paid for a homeless shelter. Like, they bought it cash.
Oh, wow.
And they serve, and they get food, and they donate hundreds of coats every year and all that kind of stuff. And something is like, just a human being that's natural to all of us, is we don't care until it affects us. You know, like something like, for example, breast cancer is a huge thing. You don't really think about it until it affects somebody in your family or somebody close to you. And the same thing with homeless. It doesn't cross your mind until it either affects you or you see it with your own eyes. And I would challenge everybody that's watching this video to look into what Warner Robins is doing, and maybe to see if anybody can serve or volunteer. Are there options or opportunities for people to do that?
Absolutely. Assembly has come in to run the day-to-day operations of our shelter, and they have a ongoing list of volunteers, and we never are shy of volunteers. So there's lots of opportunities to get involved in this effort by going to Haven Hope House, coming to the City of Warner Robins, or going to Assembly Church to get on the list to volunteer to help somebody in need.
Absolutely. Shout out Pastor Terry over at Assembly. He helps with recovery and all that kind of stuff.
He's awesome.
So cool. We go to the same gym. Next one, so funny. So many people talk about this, but I can't tell you how many times that you've covered this, but it just shows that people don't see all the information they put out. The city put a pause on new liquor and vape style businesses to reassess things, but what kind of balance are you guys trying to strike between protecting children and supporting small businesses?
Oh yeah, that is a tightrope right there. But we are tuned into both. We did it. We had to do something so that we can get our regulations in order. Again, smart growth. You want to make sure you monitor what's on every corner inside of a city that's on a right track. We love small businesses. We support small businesses. So we do not want to deter someone's right to invest in the free market. But we also want to make sure we're helping to protect our children, that we have no say-so of what happens inside of our school system, you know, what kids are taking inside the school system, what they're partaking of when they're inside of our school system. We can try to help make sure that, you know, when it comes to the spacing of these stores, there are rules connected to it. So we're not like every single shopping center. You don't want that. You don't want to oversaturate it. Because another thing when you're talking about small businesses, someone donated, somebody invested their life saving into their business, be it a vape store, a liquor store, whatever it is. And what you don't want, if I was that person that invested my life saving into this business, and 2 years later I look up and, oh my gosh, there's like 50 of me here. So it's hurting my bottom line. There's 50 of me here and we're on top of each other. You also want to make sure you're protecting the small business in that way too.
You're exactly right. And if we can put our little entrepreneurial hats on here for a second. And for people that don't know anything about entrepreneurship, there's a problem, I'm going to create a product or service, and I'm going to solve said problem, and I'm going to make money. Vape shops and liquor stores, they have high profit margins, meaning that you get a little bit of money for a product, you get a lot of money when it sells. So me personally, if I was thinking in Warner Robins, how can I start a business with not a lot of money, and I'm not taking away anybody's passion, if that's what you're passionate about, 100%, full send it. But if I'm trying to get in low operating costs, low amount of money up front and make high margins, I think that most people are getting upset because that opportunity for them is gone. But what would your recommendation be? Because if I were in somebody's shoes that wants to start a small business, I would probably go to city council meetings, figure out what problems are the city facing at, I guess, like the highest level, and then maybe ask some city council members, like, hey, what problems do you see in the marketplace? Where do you see that like a solution just isn't being solved? And what type of business do you think would solve that problem? And all of a sudden we kind of get off the, oh, I'm not allowed to do this, but you could go to a simple meeting and then do this and find a way bigger problem and make way more money and support the local community.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's brilliant. A lot of people don't think that way. But when it comes to doing business with government, be it federal, state, or local, the number one rule with someone trying to do business with government is the government doesn't buy what you sell. They buy what they need.
Yep.
You got to sell what they need. And if you don't know what they need, find out, ask, attend a meeting, do some research. That's how you find out how you can have a business that is yours, that'll be successful in working with the government.
I love that. That's amazing. Next question, even though I feel like we talk about for that hours. The next is Warner Robins keeps growing, and growth can feel exciting or overwhelming depending on where you live. What does healthy growth look like to you personally? Because I think we already talked about this. But after reading the comments and the questions, I think it was more people complaining like, golly, when I get off work, Watson and Russell's so busy. I think some people are scared that there's too much growth and then it's getting too much like a major city and traffic. Like, or is there like anything that's going to come in the future that will kind of help prevent that or kind of ease that with people? Or do you think this will one day kind of turn into that big city feel with population growth?
So one thing I had to learn, because I don't study traffic, so I didn't know this, but I had to learn. When cities are developed, usually there's a type of a grid. There's some sort of plan for how they're going to lay out buildings and traffic. Our city was not supposed to survive past the war, but we did.
Oh, wow.
So we had more of a sprawl, which there are other cities and counties that have that. But we don't have the grid. We have Watson, Russell, 96, Moody, kind of corridor, not really corridor, but Houston Lake, Lake Joy. I might miss another street or two. But that's our grid for our city size to have 87,000 people is not proper. But now you have people that own the spaces that would have made the connections to make us have the grid we need for our city size. And we just don't have that. So when it comes to improving traffic, that's something we're always thinking about. What can we do to improve traffic flow? Traffic flow is always on the menu in Warner Robins city government. And we're bringing in the right experts to help us make the best of what we have in front of us, what we're dealing with. So people are afraid of the traffic, but when you live, we have a lot of people that come from all around the nation who have a different perspective on what we call traffic.
Yep.
So, we hear that and then we hear there's no traffic here. That's why I love it. We hear both sides. At city government. We have to make decisions, not just off of one person or 3 people or 10 people, but what's best for the at-large community. Absolutely. So we're getting comments and feedback from both scenarios. So when we do it, we're thinking about traffic lights. We're thinking about complete streets, making it easier for pedestrians to travel, making sure we have more pocket communities where in this pocket we have a lot of these elements, and in this pocket we have a lot of these elements, so there's not as much having to go cross town to get something you need. So all that comes with city planning, and we're doing a really good job at city planning right now.
Perfect. And last question, to be able to sign things off. You've been doing this for a while now. You're on your 2nd term. What do you enjoy most about being mayor and the part that people don't usually see?
Well, the part that I enjoy most, and I've thought about this many times, it's the impact. A lot of things in government, they say there's so much red tape. Or you can work a job and you want something to happen, but oh my gosh, it takes forever. Or people don't agree, so it'll never happen. But to be in a position where I have 6 council members, 6 brothers, 3 on each side of me, and we come touch and agree to what we want to see in the city based off what our community is telling us, and we can make things happen without all that extra red tape. Absolutely. Because we touch and agree, and we commit to the mission, so we can get things moving quickly. Again, thinking about the redevelopment, how fast we went from owning less than an acre to owning the majority of 17 acres. How fast we went from going into the homelessness coalition, the mission to help resolve or improve the homelessness population we have here. How fast we went from having the goal, buying a building, renovating the building, opening the building. Is red tape if you allow it. But I believe where there is a will, there is a way. And if anybody knows me at a conference table or whatever, I don't see barriers. I see challenges and I see opportunities to get over that challenge and continue on the mission at hand. So that's the best part of my job. If we think it, Council and I, then we do it. We don't have to have 50 meetings to think it and throw these things, beautiful things on the walls of what it could be. We're more of like, oh, we want to do this? What does it take? Okay, let's get to work. Let's get her done. And that's what we do. And that makes a huge impact in our city in a short amount of time. And that's the best part of my job.
God, I was going to do an outro, but that was beautiful.
Oh.
Good job.
Thank you.
What a
and
good way to end
also
it.
meeting great people like you who care about our community, who want to better our community, who's really owning their space, their profession, and using it to help others. So I'm all about people, helping people, building things together, and I love this city.
Absolutely. I love it too. And thank you for your time. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you. Thank
That was
you.
fun.